guys keeping your brass? Yeah. Oh,
Hey, Desert Boy here. I'm just wrapping up at the range, and today I did some, probably look a little weird because I'm all backlit here, but from the sun, it's in the afternoon, because I just got done here at the range. Worked the rifle and the pistol side today. I brought the Howa 270 Winchester. I started at 100 yards and then worked on 200 yards. I didn't work any 150 in between, though hopefully next time I will. I still I need to do some better work on the 200. I got a pretty good idea of how it's shooting at 200 with different rounds. So I'll talk more about that in another video, but essentially, you know, at 100 rounds, it was pretty well dialed in as it was from before. Groupings were probably between about probably about 1.5 to about 2.5 inch group. Sometimes I might have a flyer here and there at 100 yards, but pretty good. One of the ammos that I hadn't shot much, because I usually shoot the Sako 115, or Sako, however you want to say it, 156 grain hammerheads, or I've been trying the Fusion 150 grain from Federal. Those shot pretty good, you know, but I was surprised, and I went back to 100 yards after being out at 200. The one that dialed in probably the best this time around was a 150 grain Winchester Super X hunting round, and I mean, it was a nice group. Right just around the bullseye, probably about an inch maybe, you know, grouping somewhere in there. So, you know, at 100 yards, you know, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'd like it to be perfect, but that requires more practice on my part. So, howdy, Desert Boy here. I just thought I'd go ahead and follow up a little bit on, you know, what my trip to the range was about, and how that worked out, trying to do the 100 to 200 yard. Hope you're doing okay. So this is taking the Howa1500 and 270 Winchester, and I started at 100 yards, which I kind of zeroed it in before. So let's take a look at this. The first group I had here, as you can see, I had about 1.75 inch group. I'm a little bit high, but you know, it's not too far off. Wind was light, and this was with the 156 grain Sako or Sako hammerheads. That I kind of like to use usually as kind of the medium ammunition I like to use to see how I do. Then I went over here with group 2, same, the wind's still pretty easy on this, and then as you can see here, we had more like about a 2.25 inch group. This was with Fusion 150 grain, so it's Federal if I remember correctly. At 100 yards still, and then I shot another group, and as you can see down here, it's a little better. It's 1.75 inches, but as you can see, I'm still off a little bit. on the bullseye, and still need. I didn't want to do a lot of adjusting. I was just trying to see if I was kind of in the general vicinity before I went out to 200 yards. And then the fourth one over here was also with fusion, and it's about 2 inches. As you can see, I'm getting a little closer in there, and so it looks a little better. Later on, after I went out to 200 yards, I come back and I did this 100 yard with the fusion 145 green LITE. As you can see, it's kind of a little bit all over the place, a little more because it's much lower velocity. I can't remember specifics on it, but it is less than 150 and 130 grain more full power fusions. And the wind was about the same, but as you can see, I got like about a 2 to 3 inch group, although I was getting it kind of zeroed in to some degree, but not consistently, as you can see. So that's kind of the story of the 100 yard part. These first 4 I did, you know, and then I came back and did this one after going out to 200 yards. So what happened at 200 yards? Well, always remember to have a good spotting scope if you can go to 200 yards, and I was a little remiss in that, so it was a little hard for me to see how well I was doing, even with the binocs I had, and which were fine for 100 yards in my scope. But as you can see in this one up here, pardon me, up here in group 1, 156 grain Sako or Sako, I was about, you know, had about 1.5 inch group, and I'm about 5.5 inches off the target. Come over here to group 2. This time I'm shooting 150 grain fusions, and I'm even farther off. I'm like 6 to 7 inches off, and maybe a 3.5 or 4 inch group. So after kind of trying to make some adjustment to it, I'm still off a bit. As you can see, 156 grain. I'm a little closer, but I'm still, you know, about a 2 inch group. I'm still about 2 or 3 inches out here. This other one down here was from 100 yards with the fusion 145 grain. As you can see, they were getting a little more zeroed in, but kind of abandoned that effort sooner than I wanted to, because until I really have a better spotting scope and so forth, it's kind of a waste of my time to spend trying to shoot at that and not really being able to get a good view of it. This last target here was actually with an ammunition I hadn't shot before. This was Winchester Super X. It's some of their really basic hunting ammo, 150 grain. And as you can see, it looks like this one shot pretty well at 100 yards. I probably have, you know, maybe 1 inch, 1.5 inch group around the bullseye. I could turn it the right side up there, as you can see. And that surprised me because I hadn't really tried that ammo before, and I'm still learning, you know, what really works best for the Howa 270 Winchester. So that's just kind of a follow-up range report. Just wanted to, you know, said I would go out there and do that, and I did do that. I had a good day. It was nice. It was, you know, about 60, 61 degrees maybe, and that elevation there is probably around 4,000 feet, 3,500, something like that. And in it, you know, there was very light wind, so that worked out well. I couldn't really blame anything on the wind. Anything that was off, that was all me. And of course, I'm still getting used to that scope and to that particular weapon. One thing, anyway, like I said, I'm not a hunter. I'm just a hobbyist and enthusiast. You need to talk to your experts. You need to talk to folks you know that hunt if you're going to do those things. If you have any questions about these kinds of ammos or about the calibers, be sure you talk to people that are certified and trained experts and get your basic information here. I'm just sharing with you how this weapon worked for me, how a 270 rifle worked for me in my situation with my skill set as a kind of a hobbyist and enthusiast. So always you want to follow your federal, state, and local, gun laws, regulations, and policies. And as always, for me, Desert Boy, be safe out there in whatever you're doing. Thank you. And just here where I live at, I actually live in southern Nevada. I don't think I've ever said that, but right now SHOT Show's going on. The range I'm at, they got a nice county range here. I think folks from SHOT Show were here over the weekend, and of course they're not here now or wouldn't be able to come out here, but it's, weather's been really pretty ideal for January. I mean, it's probably been about 60 degrees outside, with almost no wind like today. Right now it's probably, I don't know, probably about 50. But anyway, can't complain about that. When I look at everybody else's weather, I'm just happy to be able to go to the range. So as always, you all have a really good day. Be safe out there, whatever you're doing. Bye now. Once again, Desert Boy.